What's up, guys? It's your homeboy Bullish Money. I want to talk today about a very common topic that that you just see every day in America, and it's that why are Americans so freaking fat? Okay, and it's not just like, oh, there's a few people in my neighborhood that are a little bit overweight. I mean, there are a lot of Americans that are morbidly obese. I know folks personally that can pack on 250 pounds, 300 pounds, maybe even getting into exceeding 300 pounds. Some people might be pushing 400 pounds, right? There's people that are morbidly obese that are weighing, tipping the scales at 500 pounds or over. And you see all the real life, real reality TV documentaries about this stuff, right? People in America are ridiculously fat. And I want to talk about just not only the fact that there's so many morbidly obese people in America, but also, how is it possible that these people in this country can just pack on the pounds and have almost no perceivable injury internally to themselves? It really it's mind-boggling, and it makes me think that either we as a country, the pharmaceutical industries and the food processing companies have created sort of like an American race of people that are that can just pack on the weight with no problems, absolutely no problems whatsoever. And I marvel at that, because I know that if I uh, pushed up to anywhere close to 200 pounds, that I'm going to have problems. Okay, if I wouldn't even make it to, let's put it this way, I wouldn't make it to 250 pounds, because I'll be dead before then. There's no way my body could handle that kind of weight. In fact, I'm focusing more on losing unnecessary weight, because the more weight you gain, the more weight that you gain beyond what your body structure is supposed to handle, any more than that is always bad. Okay, you can't, if you're 50 pounds overweight, it's always bad. There's no such thing as, well, just being a little bit overweight is good for you. There's no such thing. It's always bad to gain more weight than your body structure is designed for. That's just nature. Except if you're American. If you're an American, and I have to say, this really affects mostly white Americans, you can pack on ridiculous weight. You can eat for 2 or 3 people, and apparently your internal organs are all fine, which is startling. So there's no way that that's possible for any other human race except the American race. I believe that the pharmaceutical companies and the food processing companies have created, again, this race of people that they can just eat and eat and eat and eat, and nothing happens to them, which is crazy. It's just absolutely crazy. Besides getting morbidly fat and obese, nothing happens to them. Or white folks, white European folks, and many Hispanic folks have sort of a genetic uh, tolerance to be able to pack on the weight, and the pharmaceutical companies are using that, exploiting that to just pump them with more food, because the more food that Americans eat, obviously the more revenue that these companies generate. The pharmaceutical companies rake in a whole lot of money from blood pressure medication and diet pills and what have you, and then all these other problems that could come about with eating too much. And of course, the food processing companies, the so-called agricultural companies, they could they rake a lot of money from just this morbid consumption of food that we have here, this morbid obsession with food that we have in this country. And so uh, it's to me, I don't know if anybody really feels this way or have noticed it, but it's stunning. I mean, if you think about it, it's stunning that you can have your typical American from, let's pick a state, Iowa, for example, wolf down 6 hot dogs and 3 triple hamburgers and loads of French fries and scarf it all down with a 2-liter bottle of Coke. And that person is still going to live another, 50 or 60 years without any problems, okay? And it's just startling because I know that if I ate that kind of diet, I would maybe last. I would maybe last for 1 week until I have a personal and permanent encounter with Jesus Christ. So the fact that there are many Americans that are able to eat like crazy and have no consequences for decades, wow, that is really unnatural. That is really, truly strange. And I have to point my finger at the government and at the pharmaceutical companies in some ways, I have to sort of applaud them for their evil genius, because it's insane. If you, in any other generation, in any other demographic, you wouldn't be able to get away with this. I mean, Americans wouldn't be able, from the 1700s and the 1800s and the early 1900s, they wouldn't be able to tolerate the kind of diet, the kind of crap that we put into our bodies routinely. And yet here we are. We have morbidly obese people that are in their 40s, 50s, 60s, and they're able to survive, to live for a very long, relatively a very long period of time. There's just something not right about this, something very unnatural about this, and yeah, it's crazy. That's really what I want to emphasize. It's just, this is absolutely nuts. You got to watch out for the pharmaceuticals. You got to watch out for all that processed food that you're eating, because it's creating generations of morbidly obese people, or at least people who are tolerant to these chemicals.